He didn't even bring you the good creamer. If you want the Dunkin' Donuts kind, you just let me know. I tend to think that tastes like arsenic. Not that I know the flavor, I just assume.
I was going to say, what are you...
It's very dangerous here in the Midwest.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Could be meth.
I heard poison was a woman's weapon, and I think you're proving that to be true.
Did you... there was a case out of Springfield where a woman was poisoning her husband with antifreeze. I want to say the last name was Stoddard.
Oh, wait. Yeah, I did hear about this.
Yeah.
I keep track of the crime in the Ozarks because I find it to be... so specifically Ozarks, if that makes sense.
So, yes,
there's the shit that happens here is like very. It's like
it's bizarre and it's so specific. Like if I hear crime, it's weird. I never associate it with Florida. I always directly associate it with this region.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. There's just something about the Ozarks that brings out a certain kind of crime. Je ne sais quoi about it. Yeah.
Okay, we'll get started. Kenny DeForest joining us here at 92.9 The Beat. He's going to be at the Blue Room Comedy Club tonight for Wild Turkey Wednesday, which I'm just learning is Wild Turkey Wednesday is the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So I guess it's tomorrow night you're going to be over there.
Yeah, I will be there Wednesday night, the 24th, doing a 1-hour show of all crowd work. So no prepared material. It's going to be whatever comes up in the moment. So a little sort of hybrid of improv and stand-up and... should be a lot of fun.
I think those shows are always the most interesting because you never really know what you're going to get. There's not an opportunity to research or watch a comedian's back stuff. You know what I mean? Because you really are surprised by what you find.
Yeah. I feel like coming out of quarantine, I spent basically 2 straight years with most of my communication with other people being online.
Yeah.
And I think it really showed me how toxic online communication can be when you can't see the other person. There's no nuance. Nuance gets stripped away, right? Mm-hmm. And so I did one of these shows right after because I just was like, I want to talk to people. I want to talk to other people.
Yeah.
And face to face and see what comes out. And it was really refreshing for me and I think for the audience. And so afterwards, there was the feedback was really good and people were like, yo, do this again. And so I am. And it should be a lot of fun.
You're from Springfield. You once called the Ozarks home. What is it like for you to come back and play the club in your home city?
Man, I always love coming back. It's I'm not one of these people that left Springfield in a huff. I love Springfield. Yeah. I enjoyed my time here. And it's fun to watch it change.
It has changed a lot. I moved away for a few years and I came back and I'm like, some of this is so familiar, but some of it I'm like, what is happening here?
It's weird to get culture shock from your own hometown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've been away and coming back so much and watching the changes.
I feel like I can't quite pinpoint what the big difference has been though. Like I know something's different. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I feel like it's almost we're finally at the point of the growth where it is like a small town becoming a big city, and so it's the transition. Like I walked into Avanzar the other night. There was a guy in full coveralls and camouflage.
Yeah.
But he was swirling a glass of wine and smelling it. And I was
hipster.
like,
he's a hipster.
That's right.
He's appropriating the Midwest culture for the benefit of his social media accounts.
I was like, yeah, that's what the Ozarks are now, right?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I saw that Carhartt's like a trending fashion statement for a lot of these, I say young kids, but I don't know. And I'm just like, you don't know the meaning of a Carhartt.
That's right.
Type thing.
I know. I see it in California, from these people that I'm like, you've never done a day's labor in your life.
You don't know what it's like to be knee deep in
Let me touch your hands, son. I bet they're soft as butter.
If your knuckles aren't bleeding at about this time in Southwest Missouri, you're not a true farmer.
That's right. That's right.
You've got a lot of name recognition. So if people don't know you from being the comedian from Springfield, they might know you from Seth Meyers, James Cordon. You've been on HBO, TruTV. That's just a small glimpse to your accolades. What has it been like to leave the Midwest and in particular Springfield, and find success on a national platform like you have?
Honestly, shocking, man. I when I started, I was just like, we'll see where this goes. I didn't have any real delusions of grandeur. You know what I mean? It was just sort of, I want to try this thing. We'll see where it leads. And looking back, I'm just like, wow, that really is. If I told 22-year-old me that this is where this was going to end up, I'd be like, hey, that's a great ride. I'll take it.
Yeah.
And
is that when you started, 22?
Honestly, I think I was probably 20. I think I was using a fake ID the first time I went to go do stand
You
up.
doing a little fakey fake out? Were you here in Southwest Missouri doing
My first ever time on stage was at the Outland.
the Outland Ballroom?
Yeah. It was a mixed open mic, meaning music, comedy, poetry, whatever you want. And I followed a one-man band. And,
I feel like this one man had a harmonica.
He did. He did.
I could visualize
You know
it
that he
He's
did.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Classic Springfield move. And he's probably got like his bass kick hooked up to his foot. Honestly, I'm impressed.
So far, you're nailing every detail.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
I feel like it's just a stereotypical one-man band, though. What do you think when you come back after living, you lived in Brooklyn for a few years, you lived in California for a few years, you're actively now, you're seeing a lot of your colleagues, you're in the comedy world, say bye-bye to California because it's been so closed for so long.
Yeah. I don't know. It is really good to be back for sure. Yeah, California just got hit so hard. That's the thing. It's just like, and I get it.
Yeah.
We got to be safe. We got to take care of each other. But it hit a point where I was like, I have to work, man.
Yeah.
I
can't live off this government stimmy forever because it's so few and far between, it seemed like, on a federal level.
Right. And I wasn't getting unemployment for a big chunk of it because I was still doing some stuff. And so, once they see you making income, it's like, all right, you're working. I'm like,
You made $12 last week. Good luck making that last.
Yeah.
What was that like, though? I mean, was it primarily through Zoom interviews you were doing comedy? Because that audience has to be so tough because it's just some guy named Dave and he's not wearing pants and he's forced to be there by the boss.
Without a doubt. A lot of pantsless old men and shows were getting dive-bombed. To answer your question, terrible. I mean, it's adapt or die, so beggars can't be choosers. Yep. I was happy to do the Zoom shows. It definitely kept us afloat. But, back to the point of why I'm doing this show tomorrow night, like the opposite of human interaction is whatever Zoom is. And it's just so impersonal, which is all
like comedy
online.
Purgatory almost. It
is, yeah. Even when you hear the laughs, it doesn't feel genuine. Like when someone laughs at a joke in person, I know it's real. I can feel it. You know what I mean? But on Zoom, a lot of times it just felt like you're being polite because
Thank you for the courtesy.
I'm at the end of my rope over here.
Yeah.
So thank you. Yeah.
I saw like some magicians do some stuff, and I always felt that magic work over Zoom would be the most cush job. Like there's no real illusion happening here. I'm watching it through a screen.
Wow, that is a good point.
Yeah.
You could really hide your strings.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Maybe I should get into magic.
Yeah, I don't know if it's got any profitability to it. It might have not done well at all.
It'll be similar to comedy in that way then if it doesn't. So
you're not just raking in the cash. I always found comedy to be so interesting because it truly has to be something that you're like wildly passionate about or something that brings you an exuberant amount of joy because there is no guarantee to it. You're kind of just like, all right, I'm going to run off this cliff, and if I fly, it's great. If I fall, well, that's also a possibility.
Yeah, you have to be the correct combination of mental illnesses, and you've got to be damaged in the right way. No, I mean, but it is. You're right. It is because there's so much more to it than being funny. I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. And to put up with a lot of the stuff you have to put up with, or to, the first 10 years of your career, you're just out every night grinding. No relationships really, like friendships.
Your social life is the club.
Yeah, you got to be out every night doing stand up. So you got to love it that much.
I was talking to Chris. He's the one who brought you in. You guys at home don't know who Chris is, but we know who Chris is. And he said that one night he was out and he was just talking to one of the comedians, a well-known comedian. And that comedian was just like cool with everybody. And I thought to myself, like, wow, he's cool with everybody, but does he have those like real personal relationships? And can you have that while you're on the road trying to develop a career for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely end up learning how to be cool with everybody in a lot of ways because you're exposed to so many different perspectives as a comedian. So I think you sort of end up seeing a little bit of what everyone's trying to say, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You don't want to be too harsh or judgmental in your worldview because you're traveling around all the time. So you're not spending too much time in one bubble, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're out there on the road, you're interacting with people from all backgrounds, all viewpoints, and you should probably be able to at least empathize with another point of view.
I feel like that was one of the big reasons I wanted to move away from the area because there is a lot of though fractured, a lot of singular views here. And I wanted to just experience people who had grown up in a completely different way than I had, so I could have a better understanding of people. And I feel like that's kind of what you're saying. You got a better understanding of people.
Without a doubt. Yeah. And that's, back to your point about loving spring. Like when I left, I was kind of similar. I had I feel like I need to get out of this bubble and experience other viewpoints and other lifestyles and ways of looking at the world. And I did. And I think it definitely enriches your life whenever you are exposed to things that are unfamiliar to you.
Yeah. I thought it was a really beautiful and a learning experience as well, which I can come back and share, and people will either love it or hate it.
Right. Well, that's the thing too, is a lot of times going away makes you appreciate home more.
Yeah.
You maybe leave expecting to be to discover this new, better world. And then when you come back, you're like, this was never so bad.
That wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
It's also it gives you a better appreciation of family if you have a good one. So it's like, I didn't get to see you every day for all of these years, so I appreciate being able to see your face.
Without a doubt. And that's part of what this trip home is after being forced to not see my parents for that amount of time, really spending some quality time with them and not taking it for granted. And
where does your funny come from? Was this originally, did you go to college after high school?
Yeah, I did. I went to Drury here in town.
Okay, so Chris was telling me you played basketball over there.
Yeah.
What was your original trajectory for life? Was it always comedy, or was it?
It's so funny looking back now. It's so obvious that comedy was in me from the beginning, but obviously it's such a strange career choice that I never allowed myself to think of it that way. I have a funny family, for one, in terms of where my funny comes from. Both grandfathers were super funny, so I grew up around funny people and also noticing the power of funny. Like when my grandpa Joe would tell a story, you could hear a pin drop in the room and everybody would gather around and we were so thirsty for the laugh. Laughter is it's the purest feeling a human being can have. And I do think when I stopped, so I played 2 years of basketball. When that ended, I think I needed a competitive outlet. Mm-hmm. I needed a place to perform because I was used to performing. And so it kind of filled the void, and it was one of those things where it felt like a bunch of things coming together at once, where I'd always written down jokes and really cared about being funny. I was always the funny guy in class or on the team or whatever. And once I really started, there was kind of no looking back. I was just like, this is it. I'm hooked. This is what I was put here to do. It's
so rare that you find a definitive answer in life on what you're supposed to do. And so it seems like you found that reasonably early on.
Yeah.
Which had to be nice.
Yeah.
Did you ever kind of feel like growing up in this area, I did at least, that anything outside of the typical box was kind of, it would cock an eyebrow, was kind of frowned on. People would say, get back into the box of what we call normal. Did you experience that at all?
Maybe more internally. I don't know that anyone actually said that to me, but I definitely was I didn't do theater in high school when I probably should have, but I was like, I'm on the basketball team.
I'm too cool. I'm an athlete.
Yeah, I'm an athlete. We don't do that stuff. Right. And so definitely restrictive in that way. But in terms of fashion or things of if you want to streak your hair green or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you definitely, if it's not expressly said, you feel it internally of I don't want to step too far outside the norm.
Yeah. I always got that vibe. If I would have ever said, I want to major in musical theater, people would have definitely been like, okay, that's nice. Okay. What do you really want to do though? We got to make some money.
Yeah. Choose something real.
Yeah. Choose a real, where do you pull your comedy from? Is there, I've always found that sometimes being funny, you are your own best punchline. Do you pull from jokes about yourself, or where's your best source of laughs?
Yeah, well, I would say a balance, self-deprecation is always going to be funny, but I also find if you overdo it, it's not good for you psychologically.
No, you're just making fun of yourself out loud as opposed to just doing it in your head.
And a lot of times it's fake humility. You know what I mean? It's when an NBA player has 50 points and the first thing they say is, this is very humbling. It's it's not.
I got to give all the credit to the team. It's okay, Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
we know it's you who did this.
You did this yourself.
Yeah.
So I try to do a balance though. I do some political satire, some social commentary, some storytelling, some self-deprecation. I like to mix it up. If I'm going to make fun of anybody else, I'm also going to make fun of myself.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's important. I don't ever want to be a comedian that's just like, and here's what's wrong with you, and here's what's wrong with you, and here's what's wrong with this, and here's what's wrong with that. Like, I'm going to point the finger at myself too.
Yeah, that seems fair. Like a one shot for you, one shot for me type thing. Do you ever feel like you have to mold, you mentioned politics a little bit. Do you feel like you have to mold your comedy based upon the region that you are performing at in order to not, I don't want to say offend the audience, but I know when it comes to like politics or these highly talked about conversations or topics that people get saucy so fast.
Oh yeah, it's a minefield out there right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the news, but people
occasionally see a headline.
People are real tuned up out there. Yeah, but I try not to do that because I've also found you don't want to prejudge people. It's like I always think about this early in my career. You would always hear, hey, keep the language clean tonight. There's a lot of old people here. And I remember after a show I kind of censored myself, and this one like elderly woman came up to me after the show and she goes, young man, we're old. We've seen a lot. We like it dirty. We like it nasty. Yeah. We've seen everything. And I was like, you're right. Like, they cuss. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Old people cuss more than anyone I know.
The elderly generation has definitely been through some stuff, so they don't need you to censor for their
sake. They went through World War II. They're not worried if
They're fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think you do occasionally get those people who are like, I don't say those words. And it's like, well, good for you, Martha. The rest of us do.
Yeah, get back to knitting, Martha.
Yeah. Well, you got some cats to take care of at home. We can make fun of old men, I guess, too. I don't want to leave out them.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, yeah. You got some, you have to go yell at the television, Walter.
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, that's what they do.
And the television in my mind has wood paneling on it, too. So if you're getting a full picture of the generation I'm specifically referring to there. So
also to answer your question, too, about changing material, I was also, another anecdote just popped in my head. But I did a show, I won't say who was president, but I did not like them. And a lot of the audience did.
Ooh.
But I made fun of them.
Tricky territory.
In a way that was not judgmental to this person's supporters so much as here's what I think is funny about what's happening. And afterwards, one of the guys was like, I disagreed with you on everything you said. I thought you were funny. And then he hired me to perform for his company, for a company office party.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff... Which is also the same energy this crowd work show is coming from. You know what I mean? Like, we have to talk in this country. We have to.
Oh, yeah. And I feel like it's so, like, the conversation is like a super highway with one lane right now. Where you don't talk. Yeah.
It's like, and that's what's so dangerous is if we're only talking with people in our bubble, we're getting radicalized.
An echo chamber.
An echo chamber. And we're starting to view each other as the enemy. And I think nothing is further from the truth.
I listened to a podcast that Joe Rogan did with the guys who did The Social Dilemma, if you watched that. And it was wildly fascinating talking about the toxicity of social media and how it has massively fractured us into these different ideologies.
Yeah.
And it is completely eliminated conversation for disagreement, but still loving thy neighbor type thing. And I find it to be wildly fascinating. I took a social media hiatus over the weekend.
Oh, good for you.
And I couldn't believe how many times I would just unlock my phone and instantly click like Instagram or Facebook. I had to consciously be like, no, we're not doing that. And it was kind of an interesting experiment, self-awareness there.
Yeah, it's a dopamine rush.
Yeah.
Every time you look.
Yeah. But who's liked my stuff today?
Yeah. But it is. It's really, really toxic. And, step one is acknowledging there's a bubble. Step two is acknowledging your own bubble.
Yeah.
Because it's really easy to see their bubble. And it's really easy to see like, oh, I see all of y'all read this website and y'all think this. But it's harder to be like, oh, I'm in this bubble and I only read this website. Yeah.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
That's what we have to do if we're going to get through this. It's like, because here's the thing, billionaires are flying to space and we're not. That's
They're
the real
for a reason.
That's the real divide.
Yeah.
That's the real divide.
Yeah.
Whatever you think about abortion or whatever issue it is that we all scream at each other over, I
do think that the bigger conversation that often gets forgotten about, Kenny DeForest is a funny guy too. But I think that you probably have the ability to express the other side through a comedic way, which is, I would argue, the doorway to conversation. But I do think often we get bogged down with like these things that, yes, are serious issues. But when you look at the expansatory myriad of issues, it's like not the biggest issue we should probably be addressing.
Yeah.
So I find that to be interesting too, what we get distracted with.
Yeah, you're right. And I have forgotten to be funny this morning. I'll
give you the courtesy Zoom laugh.
Yeah. Very good. These are big issues. I don't mean to minimize this stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like the stuff that we spend so much energy on is maybe sometimes not what we should be spending all our energy on.
Yeah.
That's it. And people are like, how do you talk to people from the other side? It's like, because I like Thanksgiving. Like, I don't know where you're from, but where I'm from,
enjoy turkey leg.
we disagree with our families. You know, I don't know. What is this? Where did you grow up?
Well, I guess now people, like, if you disagree over, I don't know, like being vaxxed or anti-vax, people will just cut you out, which is an interesting thing to do to your mom. You know what I mean? Like, seems like there's worse things your parents could have done other than choosing to get vaxxed or not to get vaxxed. But I do think that comedy is often like a leader in opening doors to honest conversations.
Yes, that's what it should be.
Yeah.
That is what it should be. That's why you got to let comics, I'm not saying you got to let comics get away with everything.
Yeah.
But the service that we provide is we say the things that you aren't allowed to say at work.
Yes, true.
Because in theory, you can't fire us. Now, that's been tested in recent years.
Yeah.
Whether or not you can fire us. It turns out you can. I was wrong. That was my operating hypothesis. I made a mistake. And I am very scared. Please don't come for me. No, but that's the idea, right? It's like you toe the line in a way that a person in a corporate environment can't. And then the next day at the water cooler, you have a jumping off point for a conversation. What do you think about it when he said X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
And now you're talking about it, right? Or you take a date, and now you've confirmed that you have the same sense of humor or you don't, which is probably the most important thing in a relationship.
If you're not both laughing at the same thing, what are you doing?
Yeah,
You're
man, end it.
Yeah.
Hop right back on Tinder and get to swiping.
Do something else. Oh, gosh. Online dating. That just sounds painful, judging people with a swipe of your finger.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm out of the game. Thank God.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
I packed it in. I said, no, sir, not this.
Put a ring on this one. I'm really bad to take like aggressive notes and then never go back and look at the notes post interview.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So if you see
You're like
notes,
me. You're like me in college. Take the notes. Don't read the notes. You'll be fine.
Yeah. I like to research people before they come in. That way I can have pivots for conversations. But then, I don't know. Sometimes it goes horribly wrong.
You're doing a great job today.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel very stimulated.
Okay, great.
That could be the coffee, but I think it's you. Okay.
Yeah, they brought you this creamer, and I argued that this creamer, like the powdered creamer, I don't know why. It just gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Well, I mean, it doesn't help that the packaging looks like this was made in 1953. Like, I feel like they found this in a fallout bomb shelter outside of Roswell, New Mexico.
This is radio, okay? This isn't TV. We don't have a lot of money. We got to use our resources at our hands.
That's why I'm trying to do this product placement for you.
Enjoy. Coffee creamer. Comes in a blue box, which is interesting. Okay. So you're doing Wild Turkey Wednesday at Blue Room Comedy Club.
Yeah.
People should come see you because you're a hometown guy. This is your neighborhood.
That's one reason.
You know how to appeal to the Southwestern audience.
That's right. Boom. Look at this jean jacket. You think I don't know how to talk to people in the Southwest?
I actually really like that. Where did you find that?
A Levi's outlet mall.
Okay. You go to outlet malls.
Come on.
I love outlet malls, and I'm from the Southwest, so I know other people do. Additionally, you are hilarious.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, come out. It's Wild Turkey Wednesday, it's a tradition. You should be severely hungover when talking to your family. We all know this.
What else are you doing Wednesday night before Thanksgiving?
Come on.
Okay. Tickets are going to be available at I cannot speak today.
That's okay. You're doing good.
Thank you.
Take it from the top.
Take it from the top. Tickets are available at blueroomcomedyclub.com.